In the year 1845, two British ships set sail from England, venturing into one of the most dangerous and unforgiving regions on Earth, the icy waters of the Canadian Arctic. Their goal? To discover the elusive Northwest Passage, a sea route that could revolutionize trade between Europe and Asia. But the HMS Erebus and HMS Terror, along with their 129 men, vanished into the Arctic wilderness, never to be heard from again. For over 170 years, their disappearance baffled the world, giving rise to myths, legends, and disturbing theories. Today, we dive deep into the history and the tragic discoveries that slowly unraveled the mystery of Franklin's lost expedition, a haunting story of bravery, isolation, and unimaginable horrors. The mid-19th century was an age of discovery, and nations were racing to map uncharted territories. One of the most coveted goals was finding the Northwest Passage, an Arctic sea route connecting the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. Leading the mission was Sir John Franklin, a veteran Arctic explorer. But this wasn't just a bold journey, it was a highly sophisticated operation for its time. The two ships, HMS Erebus and Terror, were outfitted with the latest technology, including reinforced hulls, steam engines, and provisions intended to last for years. The men on board were hand-picked, experienced sailors, officers, and scientists, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. What could possibly go wrong? The mission started with promise. In July 1845, the ships were spotted by two whaling vessels as they entered the Canadian Arctic archipelago. That brief encounter would be the last time anyone saw them alive. Months turned into years, and back in England, worry began to grow. By 1848, search parties were sent to find the expedition. But the Arctic is an unforgiving place, a labyrinth of ice and desolation. With no leads, the rescuers returned empty-handed, and the fate of Franklin's men became a chilling enigma. For decades, searchers combed the Arctic landscape, but it wasn't until the late 19th century that some clues began to surface. On King William Island, a rescue team stumbled upon a horrifying scene: abandoned lifeboats, equipment scattered in disarray, and human remains. Among these eerie remnants was a letter, a grim message written by one of Franklin's officers, detailing their struggles. The message revealed that Franklin had died in June 1847, and by then the men had already been trapped in the ice for over a year. Their provisions were dwindling, and desperation was beginning to take hold. But this was just the beginning. As more evidence emerged, the true extent of their ordeal became even more horrifying. The men of the Erebus and Terror faced a nightmare beyond imagination. Trapped in ice, they were unable to escape the brutal Arctic winter. Starvation, scurvy, and frostbite began to claim lives. But even worse, some evidence suggests that the survivors were driven to cannibalism in their final desperate moments. In the 1980s, forensic scientists examined the remains of some crew members and discovered knife marks on the bones. Marks consistent with dismemberment. This grim evidence confirmed what had long been suspected. In their final days, some of the men may have turned on each other in a desperate attempt to survive. Imagine the psychological torment, knowing that rescue was unlikely, and the only way to survive was to do the unthinkable. For over a century, the fate of the ships remained a mystery until 2014. A Canadian expedition discovered the wreck of the HMS Erebus, lying beneath the frigid waters near King William Island. Just 2 years later, they found the Terror astonishingly well preserved under the ice. These discoveries were like opening a time capsule from the past. Inside the ships, researchers found personal belongings, boots, dishes, tools, frozen in time. But what struck researchers the most was the eerie silence surrounding the wrecks. It was as if the ships had simply been abandoned, left to drift aimlessly in the icy depths. What caused such a well-prepared expedition to fail so catastrophically? Experts now believe that several factors contributed to the disaster. First, the ships became trapped in ice far longer than expected, preventing them from moving forward. Second, some of the food provisions were poorly canned, leading to lead poisoning, a condition that could have impaired judgment and physical health. And let's not forget the harsh environment itself. The Arctic is one of the most inhospitable places on Earth. Even the most experienced explorers would have struggled to survive under such extreme conditions. Franklin's lost expedition left behind a legacy of caution, curiosity, and fascination. Today, historians and scientists continue to study the remains of the expedition, hoping to piece together the final moments of the men aboard the Erebus in terror. Their story is a haunting reminder of humanity's relentless quest for discovery and the devastating consequences that can arise when we push beyond our limits. Franklin's lost expedition is more than just a tale of mystery. It's a story of ambition, resilience, and tragedy. It reminds us of the fine line between triumph and disaster, and how even the best-laid plans can fall apart in the face of nature's overwhelming power. So the next time you hear about a great exploration or an ambitious adventure, remember the men of the Erebus in terror. Their story is one that deserves to be told, not just as a warning, but as a tribute to the indomitable spirit of human curiosity. Like, subscribe, and share if you enjoyed this story. Let us know in the comments, what would you have done in their place?